Uh, Before we dive into the world of Tim Burton's macabre masterpieces, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button to show your support. As a fan of Tim Burton's unique blend of Gothic aesthetics and whimsical storytelling, I must say that Sleepy Hollow is one of his most thrilling forays into the world of horror.
What is it?
Um, Having grown up watching his films, I found Sleepy Hollow to be a refreshing departure from the usual Burton fare. The film's intense violence and graphic decapitations, which would make even the most hardened horror fan flinch, were a testament to Burton's unwavering commitment to pushing boundaries in his storytelling. Approximately a quarter century ago, Tim Burton unveiled Sleepy Hollow, which was his eighth major production and undeniably his most terrifying. Uh, uh, this film was a reimagining of Washington Irving's timeless tale, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and featured Johnny Depp, one of Burton's recurring leading actors. Sleepy Hollow represented a notable transition in Burton's directorial journey as it significantly escalated the level of on-screen violence in both his own movies and mainstream cinema as a whole endiac of on-screen. And ever since his breakthrough with the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure in 1985, Tim Burton has continually redefined the typical Hollywood blockbuster to suit his unique style. His third cinematic venture, released in 1989 as Batman, was a massive hit that laid the groundwork for superhero movies in theaters. Despite its commercial success, it still carried the distinct imprint of its youthful director. Leveraging his newfound influence in Hollywood, Burton produced Edward Scissorhands in 1990 before revisiting Batman in the darker Batman Returns of 1992, a film that was even more reflective of its director's style than its predecessor. So, following two films inspired by his childhood memories, such as 1994's Ed Wood and 1996's Mars Attacks, um, Sleepy Hollow represented Tim Burton's most significant and mainstream production at that time. Uh, Instead of creating a family-friendly PG-13 film for widespread appeal, Burton chose to craft an R-rated hybrid blending horror and action genres, filled with intense violence. Uh, Tim Burton's films often emphasize horror, showcasing macabre and grim visuals. Uh, but for the most part, this is more about style than content. For instance, the movie Beetlejuice abounds with dark imagery, including a bureaucratic afterlife filled with despondent civil servants and a haunting portrayal of a barren wasteland teeming with soul-consuming sandworms. But, however, it's all part of a zany comedy that remains surprisingly lighthearted despite its unsettling undertones. Burton consistently blends horror genres with comedy, romance, adventure, and tragedy in his cinematic works, offering a distinctly eccentric outsider perspective within mainstream Hollywood. Visual elements are frequently as crucial to his movies as their narratives. For instance, the style of Batman draws inspiration from vintage comic books and German expressionist films, while the afterlife depicted in Beetlejuice exudes a grungy color scheme and a nostalgic 50s ambiance. Sleepy Hollow, even after all these years, retains a distinct Burton-esque feel, but its aesthetic seems more tailored to the story rather than in previous films. Um, Although some of its potency might have waned over time, it continues to be compelling even today. Um, The Headless Horseman is portrayed as an unyielding slasher character, reminiscent of Michael Myers from Halloween or Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, a ruthless killer who can withstand multiple gunshots in his pursuit of victims. Uh, One particularly terrifying moment in the movie happens near the halfway point as Ichabod and his newly hired servant, young Mastiff, delve into a witch's cave searching for the Headless Horseman. Uh, the witch promises to guide them to the underworld, then binds her own wrists and cautions Ichabod, when another arrives, I will detain him. This scene, with its sudden shock factor, is seared into the memory of any young horror enthusiast who may have watched it prematurely, featuring a startling CGI effect that, though somewhat outdated now, still carries a potent impact. Sleepy Hollow distinguishes itself from many of Tim Burton's films due to its extreme, visually striking violence. Burton has explored violent themes in movies like Mars Attacks, where characters are reduced to skeletons by Martian ray guns. Sleepy Hollow takes this a step further. The film features some of the most vivid and gruesome depictions of decapitations ever seen on screen, with an abundance of bright red blood contrasting against its gloomy gray and brown tones. Although Sleepy Hollow may not receive the same level of adoration from Tim Burton fans as some of his other renowned films, it is a remarkable addition to his body of work due to its intensified horror and violence compared to most of his other movies. And over the past 25 years, Burton has ventured more into mainstream cinema, often having to compromise his artistic vision for the requirements of high budget Hollywood projects. However, he has consistently managed to make each project distinctively his own. And on that note, I'll leave you with a little joke. Why did the Headless Horseman go to the party? Um, because he heard it was a real cutting edge event. With that said, thanks for watching. And until next time,